those numbers which come one after the other at regular intervals. Now we have various types of consecutive numbers. Let us first understand these and then we shall take up some examples based on them. The first one here is consecutive natural numbers. So these are those natural numbers which come one after the other. And these can be represented as x, x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3 and so on. That, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are consecutive natural numbers. Why? Because we find that these are all in a row, 1, 2, 3 and 4 without any gap. So these are called as consecutive natural numbers, or they can be called as successive numbers. Similarly, 83, 84, 85, 86, even these are consecutive natural numbers or successive numbers. The second one here is consecutive even numbers. Now we have already understood what are even numbers. Even numbers are those numbers which are exactly divisible by 2 or which are exact multiples of 2. So whenever we have even numbers in a row without any gap, then such numbers are called consecutive even numbers. For example, 2, 4, 6, 8. All these are consecutive even numbers. And these even numbers can be represented as x, x plus 2, x plus 4, x plus 6 and so on. That means if the first number is x, then the next number should be x plus 2. The third one has to be x plus 4. Fourth one will be x plus 6 and so on. And remember, the first number x has to be even. So if we take any even number in place of x, then following x plus 2, x plus 4, x plus 6 will give us consecutive even numbers. For example, 68, 70, 72 and so on. Consecutive odd numbers. Now consecutive odd numbers are odd numbers in a row. For example, 1, 3, 5, 7 can be treated as consecutive odd numbers. Why? Because we see they are all one after the other in succession. So these are successive odd numbers, or we can call consecutive odd numbers. Now consecutive odd numbers are also represented as x, x plus 2, x plus 4, x plus 6 and so on, where x is odd. The question is, the sum of 4 consecutive even numbers is 44. What is the sum of the original squares of these numbers? So now the question says sum of these 4 even numbers is equal to 44. So we can say that x plus 2 plus x plus 4 plus x plus 6 should be equal to 44. So from this we can say 4x plus 2 plus 4 is 6 plus 6 is 12 equals to 44. So very clearly the number x would be equal to 44 minus 12 is 32. 32 by 4 is 8. So x is equal to 8. Now if the first number x is equal to 8, we know that the next consecutive even number x plus 2 would be 10. Then the third consecutive number will be x plus 4, that is equal to 12. And the fourth one will be x plus 6, 14. So these are the 4 original numbers where the sum of all these 4 numbers is 44. And we are supposed to find out the sum of the squares of these numbers. So let us find out the squares of these numbers and then take the sum of those squares to get the required answer. So the sum of the first number here, that is 8 squared, will be equal to 64. 10 squared is 100. 12 squared is 144. And 14 squared will be equal to 196. So the sum of all these 4 numbers is the required answer. So we can say that the required answer as per the given question will be equal to 64 plus 100, 164, 164 plus 144 is 308, 308 and 196 will be equal to 504. So the answer. One important point which I would like to mention here is, instead of finding out the 4 numbers in this manner, we can directly understand that the 4 numbers are 8, 10, 12 and 14 without writing any of these steps. But for that to happen, we need to be clear with the concept of averages. So once you are done with the topic of averages, you can easily understand how to decide what the 4 numbers when the sum is equal to 44. But since averages is not over as of now, let us go by the regular procedure. Let us now take the second example based on consecutive numbers. The question here is, the product of 2 successive numbers is 4692. What is the smaller of the 2 numbers? And as given in the question, the product of these 2 numbers, that means x into x plus 1 is equal to 4692. Now here we have an equation with only one variable, that is x. So one equation in one variable can be solved. So if we try to expand this, we get x into x, x squared plus x minus 4692 is equal to 0. So as you can see here, this is a quadratic equation in terms of x. So by solving this quadratic equation, we will get 2 values of x, out of which one most probably would be negative. and other value has to be the answer here. But friends, solving this quadratic equation is not an easy task, and that becomes a lengthy procedure. So let us understand how can we solve the question without going by solving the quadratic equation. Now, to find out the correct answer for this question, that is to find out the smaller number of this question, let us eliminate the wrong options from the given options here. For example, the question here is what is smaller of the two numbers? And if you look at the product here is 4692. That means the product or the multiplication of two numbers ends with 2. Now, if we take option number 1 to be correct, that means the smaller number is 69. Very clearly, if the smaller number is 69, larger number will be 69 plus 1, 70. So if this is smaller, larger number would be 70. And 69 into 70, that means one number ends in 9, the other number ends in 0. We know that their product will end with 0. But the given product here ends with 2. So very clearly, option number 1 cannot be the answer. Similarly, if you look at option number 2, it says the answer is 62. That means smaller number is 62. If smaller number is 62, larger number has to be 63. Why? Because these are consecutive numbers. So 62 into 63 will be ending in 6. But because when one number ends in 2, the other number ends in 3, their product will end in 6, going by the unit space concept. So 62 into 63 should be ending in 6. But the given product here ends with 2. So very clearly, even second option cannot be the answer. When we go for option number 3 here, the given number is 68. Now if this is the smaller number, the larger number has to be 69. So if one number ends in 8, the other number ends in 9, their product 8 into 9 ends with 2. But because 8 into 9 is 72, so 2 will be in the unit space and 7 gets carried forward. Now if you look at this, the product of 68 and 69 ends in 2, and even the given product here is ending with 2. So option number 3 may be the correct answer. Just because the unit space are matching, we cannot say that option 3 is the correct answer directly. We also have to verify it before we mark the answer. But let us continue and check, is it possible that fourth option is correct or not? The given answer here is 67. That is again the smaller number is 67. If smaller number is 67, larger number will be 68. And 7 into 8 ends with 6. So very clearly, even option number 4 cannot be the answer. Why? Because here the product is ending in 6 and our actual product ends with 2. So as you can see here, out of the given 5 options, 3 are already eliminated. That is option number 1, option number 2 and option number 4 cannot be the answers. The correct answer has to be either option 3 or option 5, none of this. Now before we mark option 3 as the answer, what we simply need to do is find out the product of 68 and 69. If that comes out to be 4692, this should be taken as the correct answer. Otherwise, option 5 will be the correct answer. Say that option 3 is the correct answer. If this is not equal to 4692, then option 5 has to be the correct answer. The question here is, the sum of 5 consecutive even numbers is 200. So what is the sum of the next set of consecutive even numbers? The important point to be observed here is, if we take any 5 consecutive even numbers and then try to compare with the next 5 consecutive even numbers, we find that the difference between each pair will be equal to 10. For example, let's take the first 5 consecutive numbers, consecutive even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. So if we try to take the next 5 even numbers, we get 12, 14, 16, 18 and 20. If we try to observe 2 and 12, the difference is 10, 4 and 14, the difference is 10, 6 and 16 again, the difference is 10, 8 and 18, the difference is 10, and 10 and 20, the difference is 10. That means the next 5 consecutive numbers are nothing but 10 more than each of the given consecutive numbers. So altogether we have got 5 tens extra. That will make it 50 more than the actual sum. So if this sum of these 5 numbers is equal to A, the sum of next 5 numbers has to be A plus 50. So that is the reason, if the sum of 5 consecutive even numbers is 200, it is obvious that the sum of next set of consecutive even numbers should be 200 plus 50. Why? Because each of these numbers will increase by 10 and the total increase will be 50. So directly we can say that the answer should be 200 plus 50, that is equal to 250. Not only in case of even numbers, but also in case of odd numbers, the same rule is applicable. When we take 5 consecutive odd numbers and take the next 5 consecutive odd numbers, we find that the difference between each pair will be equal to 10. Before we move on to the next model, I have to mention another important point here. For 5 numbers, if the sum is increasing by 50, doesn't mean that if there are 4 consecutive numbers, the sum will increase by 40. That would be absolutely wrong. Why? Because when there are only 4 numbers, and if you take the next 4 numbers, each number will increase only by 8 but not by 10. Example from model 1. The given question here is the number obtained by interchanging the 2 digits of a 2-digit number is more than the original number by 27. If the sum of the 2 digits is 13, then what is the original number? So let us now understand how to get the answer for this question directly by using the options. If you try to look at the question here, we have got 2 conditions. One condition is that the sum of the digits is 13, and the other condition is that the number obtained by interchanging the original number is more than the original number by 27. So let us just verify which of the given options satisfies both the conditions. We will first try to check the condition, that is sum of the 2 digits is 13. Why? Because this is easy to verify. So let's now check which option has got sum of the digits as 13. If you look at option number 1, 63 is the number. Now 6 plus 3, that is the sum of the digits, is 9. But since we want the sum of the digits to be 13, option 1 cannot be the answer. Similarly, if you look at option 2, 7 plus 4 is 11, which is not equal to 13. So even option 2 gets cancelled. Moving to option 3, the sum of the digits 8 plus 5 is equal to 13. So this may be the possible answer as one of the conditions is satisfied. And similarly in option 4, the sum of the digits 5 plus 8 is 13. So either option 3 or option 4 may be the answer. Let us now see which of these options satisfy the first condition. That is, if we interchange the 2 digits, the number obtained should be more than the original number by 27. Now, if this number 85 is interchanged, we get 58. And 58 is less than 85. But the question clearly says that the number obtained by interchanging should be more. Now, since the number obtained by interchanging the digits is less, it can no way be the correct answer. So even option 3 gets cancelled. So let us now check the fourth option for the second condition. That is, the number obtained by interchanging the digits should be more than the original number by 27. Now here in case of 58, when we interchange the 2 digits, it becomes 85. And 85 is more than 58 by 27. Since the difference between these two numbers is 27. 85 minus 58 is exactly 27. So as you can see here, option 4 satisfies both the conditions. That is, the sum of the digits is 13 and the number obtained by interchanging the digits is 27 more than the original number 58. So since it satisfies both the conditions, it can directly be taken as the correct answer. So this is how we can avoid writing all these steps and directly get the answer by eliminating the wrong options. The question here is, when the digits of a 2-digit number are interchanged, the number obtained is less than the original number by 36. What is the original number if the difference between the 2 digits is 4? So as you can see, this example here is quite similar to that we have discussed in example 1. And we know that the best way to solve these questions would be to go by options rather than writing all the steps. So let us try to understand what are the 2 conditions given and check which of these options satisfies both the conditions. Now the first statement here is, when the digits are interchanged, the number that we obtain is less than the original number by 36. So if we say that the original number is AB, then the interchange number would be BA. And as given in the question, the interchange number is less than the original number by 36. So we can say that BA should be AB minus 36, as it is less than the original number by 36. And also we know that the difference between the 2 digits is 4. So the difference between the 2 digits, that is A and B, the difference should be equal to 4. So whichever option satisfies these 2 conditions has to be the correct answer. Let us first check for these conditions in option 1. The number here is 84. Now if we try to understand the difference of the digits, we know that it should be 4. And here 8 difference 4 is equal to 4, or 8 minus 4 is equal to 4. So very clearly option 1 satisfies the first condition. Let us now go for the second condition in option number 1. The second condition here is BA equals to AB minus 36. That means interchange number should be less than the original number by 36. So if we interchange the 2 digits, what we get here is 48. 84 becomes 48. and 48 is equal to 84 minus 36. 84 minus 36 is equal to 48. So very clearly, even the second condition is satisfied. That is, the reverse number is original number minus 36. So option number 1 satisfies both the conditions. So it has to be the correct answer. But friends, before we mark option number 1 as the answer, let us verify even the remaining options. Why? Because there is a twist in the question. And if we mark option number 1 as the answer, we will go wrong. Let us see what happens in the remaining options. Now if you look at option number 2, that is 51, here again the difference between the two digits, 5 difference 1 or 5 minus 1 is equal to 4 as given in condition number 2. So option 2 satisfies one of the conditions. Let us see whether it satisfies the second condition or not. So if we interchange the digits, 51 becomes 15. And 15 is again 36 less than 51. Why? Because 51 minus 36 is equal to 15. So even option 2 satisfies the second condition. That is, BA is AB minus 36. So option 2 as well can be the correct answer. And similarly, if you look at option 3, the difference between the two digits is 4. 7 minus 3 is equal to 4 and the interchange number is 37. And 37 is nothing but 73 minus 36. So option 3 also satisfies both the conditions. So this is the twist in the given question. There is more than one answer or more than one number which can satisfy both the given conditions. And hence, we cannot mark option 1 as the answer since it has satisfied both the conditions. Why? Because we are not able to zero in into the correct answer, or we are not able to decide what exactly is the number which the question is talking about, as the given conditions are satisfied in more than one case. So hence, the answer here has to be cannot be determined. That is option number 4. Topic of number systems, which is based on the various fundamental formulae from algebra. When it comes to bank exams, we don't have algebra as a separate topic, but then the basic formulae will be required in solving some questions from number systems. Generally, these formulae can be applied while solving questions from simplifications, and they can also be used in certain questions from the topic of number systems. The question here is, the difference between two numbers is 4 and the difference between their squares is 128. What is the larger number? What we need to do here is just check from the options whether the two conditions are satisfied or not. Whichever option satisfies both the conditions, that can be taken as the correct answer. So let us understand how can we solve this question by eliminating the wrong options. As you can see here, the question says what is the larger number? If we take option number 1 to be correct, that means larger number is 14. If larger number is 14, it is very clear that smaller number has to be 10. Why? Because the difference between these two is 4. So if larger is 14, smaller will be 10. We know that 14 squared is 196 and 10 squared is 100. 196 minus 100 is 96. But the question says difference between their squares is 128. That means this option does not satisfy the given condition. So it can be ruled out. Option number 1 cannot be the answer. Similarly, if you look at option number 2, 16, it means the larger number is 16. If larger is 16, smaller has to be 12. Why? Because difference between the two numbers is 4. Now, let us find out the difference between their squares. 16 squared is 256 and 12 squared is 144. The difference between these two numbers here is 112. But we are looking for a difference of 128. So very clearly, even second option gets cancelled. Moving on to third option, if the larger is 12, smaller has to be 8. 12 squared is 144 and 8 squared is 64. 144 minus 64 will be equal to 80. But the question says the difference should be 128. So even the third option gets cancelled. Now the left out option here is option 4, 18. If 18 is the larger number, smaller number has to be 14. 18 square we know is equal to 324 and 14 square is 196. And 324 minus 196 is equal to 128. 324 minus 196 is 128. That means very clearly the difference of their squares is equal to 128, which is as given in the question here. So since this option satisfies the given condition, we can take it to be the correct answer. Let us now take the second example based on the various formulae from algebra that we have learned. Now this is like a simplification question which is 0.8 into 0.8 into 0.8 plus 1.2 into 1.2 into 1.2 divided by 0.8 into 0.8 minus 0.8 into 1.2 plus 1.2 into 1.2. So we need to simplify this and find out what is the answer. Now friends, if you look at this question, it really appears to be a complicated one. But then, if you understand the formula which is to be applied here, the answer can be obtained in a few seconds. Now let us first of all simplify this in a proper form. For example, 0.8 into 0.8 into 0.8 can be taken as 0.8 whole cube plus 1.2 into 1.2 into 1.2 is 1.2 cube divided by 0.8 into 0.8 is 0.8 squared minus this is 0.8 into 1.2 as it is plus 1.2 into 1.2 is 1.2 squared. So this is equal to what is the question? We know that a cube plus b cube is equal to a plus b into a squared minus ab plus b squared. And this can be taken as a cube plus b cube divided by a squared minus ab plus b squared should be equal to a plus b. That means simply the second part here is taken in the denominator on the left hand side. Now, if you try to compare the given question with this equation, we find that it is exactly in the form of a cube plus b cube divided by a squared minus ab plus b squared. And the answer has to be a plus b. So in the given question, a is equal to 0.8 and b is equal to 1.2. So 0.8 plus 1.2 is equal to 2.0. Remember friends, if you don't get this idea of solving the question, then it is better that you leave this question and go to the next one. Why? Because if you go for the regular solution of this problem, it is going to take a really very long time. And in that time, you can solve 3 or 4 other simple questions. So better you leave this if you don't get this idea. And if you are smart enough, you can understand which formula is to be applied and get the required answer in just 4 to 5 seconds. Of number systems where we are going to solve questions related to exponents. The first one here is a power m into a power n is equal to a power m plus n. That means whenever the bases are equal, here as you can see a and a, whenever the bases are equal and in multiplication form, the powers can be added. For example, 3 power 2 into 3 power 7 can be taken as 3 power 2 plus 7, which is equal to 3 power 9. Why? Because the bases are equal and they are in multiplication form. So the powers can be directly added. The next one here is a power m divided by a power n equals to a power m minus n. So whenever the bases are equal and in division form, the powers can be subtracted. For example, 8 power 7 divided by 8 power 3 can be taken as 8 power 7 minus 3, which is equal to 8 power 4. The third rule here is a power m whole to the power of n will be equal to a power m into n. For example, 2 power 4 whole squared will be equal to 2 power 4 into 2, which is equal to 2 to the power of 8. So the fourth rule here is a power m into b power m will be equal to a into b whole power m. So whenever the powers are equal, the bases can be multiplied if they are in multiplication form. For example, 2 power 8 into 3 power 8 can be taken as 2 into 3, that is 6 power 8. The next point is a power m divided by b power m will be equal to a divided by b whole to the power of m. So like rule number 4, whenever the powers are equal and the bases are in division form, they can be divided and taken whole to the power of the given value. For example, 3 power 7 divided by 4 power 7 can be taken as 3 by 4 whole to the power of 7. But because here the powers are equal and the bases are in division form, so we can take it as 3 by 4 whole to the power of 7. Moving on to the next one, it is a power 0 is equal to 1. So any base raised to the power of 0 will always be equal to 1. For example, 12 to the power of 0 is equal to 1. It says a power minus n is equal to 1 by a power n. So whenever we have a negative power or negative exponent, it can be taken in the denominator with a positive value. For example, if it is 3 power minus 5, it can be equated as 1 by 3 power 5. Let us now take an example. The question here is 2 power 0.2 into 64 into 8 power 1.3 into 4 power 0.2 is equal to 8 power question mark. And we are supposed to find out what comes in place of the question mark here. To solve this question, as we can see that the base on the right hand side is equal to 8. So all the bases on the left hand side should be made equal to 8 with the help of different rules that we have learned. So let us see how can we convert everything in terms of the base 8 on the left hand side. If you observe, this is 2 power 0.2 and the other term here is 4 power 0.2. We know that a power m into b power m is equal to a into b whole power m. 2 into 4 is 8 power 0.2. The next step here is 64 is nothing but 8 squared. 64 is equal to 8 squared. So this can be replaced with 8 squared. So this becomes 8 power 0.2 into 8 squared into 8 power 1.3. Now we see that all the bases here are equal to 8. Now we know that a power m into a power m will be equal to a power m plus n. That is, whenever the bases are equal and in multiplication form, the powers can be added. So here we find that all the bases are equal and they are in multiplication form. So the powers here can be added. So the answer will be 8 power 0.2 plus 2 plus 1.3, which is equal to 8 power 0.2 plus 2 is 2.2 plus 1.3 is 3.5.